It's a little bit. Let's see, get that. All right, there. That's nice.
Here we are again.
There it is. And also, we gotta go. Is this thing on?
You touched it again, dude. The tapping.
There it is.
Breaking all the rules.
Are there? Is it? Are we? Am I?
Have we?
Oh.
Do we?
All right. Welcome to another episode of the CapmLew podcast. I am CapmLew with co-Captain Luke.
Here I am.
Here we are indeed on a gray winter day in Cincinnati, Ohio.
So gray.
We are doing two episodes today. Both will be, as all are, Facebook livecast. Those get put up on the YouTubes.
True.
You can find the audio version on your basic standard issue Apple, Spotify,
Google Play,
wherever
Podbean.
Yeah, you can get that, and you can hear us sipping our coffee.
Some ASMR, baby.
Is that? Yep, that is nowadays. So today we're going to do two episodes. So we're doing episode 35 right now.
Indeed.
And then after this, we'll do episode 38 because I will be out of town for a minute. I'm going to take a leisurely drive, about 12 hours north.
Yes.
Perfect time of year. February in New York is lovely, I've heard.
Balmy.
To balmy New York. Balmy rural New York.
Can't wait.
Yeah, well, that's just how things shake out sometimes. It's a family thing. And so the episode 37 and 38 are already live cast, and they are both already banked.
Well,
and they're
one will be.
Well, they will.
Yeah, they will be. Yeah.
And they will have been scheduled.
Scheduled.
Yes, they will have been scheduled to release on the right times, which is a cool little piece of automation.
Yes, indeed.
I like that a lot.
Me too.
So, for this episode 35 of the CapmLew podcast,
here we are
with your host CapmLew and
co-Captain Luke.
Absolutely. We want to round out some of our discussion about the San Francisco Standard articles that have come out in regard to the passing of Jake Phelps.
Yep.
I'd like to take this opportunity to express probably a mutual sentiment that we have no regrets.
No.
And we don't take back so many of the things that we've said. In fact, we can't think of one. We wanted to lay that out in the beginning.
It's so funny that you're saying that, because I was thinking the other day, I had this thought like, man, maybe we were too harsh. And then I was like thinking about the things that we actually said.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. It would be a good, sometimes when you're in these conversations, especially for me, because I'm a sweet dude by nature. I know you are too. You just got a little bit more mileage.
I do.
So, but I had this feeling sometimes like, man, maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I said things that I didn't mean, or that I were, maybe I jumped the shark in some ways. And
sure,
it's funny because every time I go back and think about the things that I said and actually remain unbiased and break it down, I usually come away with, no, I'm pretty much stand by everything, And I feel that way about the last one, or last 2 or 3 episodes about that deal.
Yeah, as a community of human beings who have, to some degree, banded together around our shared interest, passion, enjoyment of playing skateboards.
Yeah.
If we were anything, I wouldn't say we were too harsh. I would say we were too late.
Yeah.
I don't personally have like any guilt, because I've been beaten on the drum for years.
Right.
What was it you said like some months ago? We were doing something and you were reflecting on, geez man, all the stuff you've been saying for like 10 years.
Oh.
That's not a horn tooter.
No.
That's not about, oh, look how smart I am. It's really about, look how dumb we have been. We have collectively been kind of almost extremely negligent
Yeah.
of some really important thinking,
Yeah.
which is what happened. That's what happened. And now I'm not sure that we actually have the opportunity to set things right. And all we can do is move forward.
Yeah.
The only option is forward motion, which I don't have an idealistic approach to that. I don't think that we're going to, by the way, just take an example here. Today I was cruising along the short form video media that's so prevalent nowadays, which I think is a tremendous boon. Boon.
I like it.
I know, dude.
I like it. I enjoy it.
I think it's a real boon. That is, I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of easy bad things to say about, like, your Tik-Toks and your GoobTube shorts and your, what are they, reels?
Reels, yeah. Insta-slam
It's
reels.
ironic they're called reels because that is where all the fake-ass juggalos like to hang out. You know. But I was listening to one today. Now, I wanted to clarify before we go any further.
Mm-hmm.
Neither Luke nor I are medical doctors.
No.
I would go so far as to say that we probably wouldn't even be cast to play a medical doctor on TV.
On TV, yes.
And we also are not law enforcement, and we are not lawyers.
Nope.
So please do not treat your engagement with what they call the CapmLew podcast
On the street.
as some sort of authoritative life advice thing here.
Right.
What we are in the grand scheme of it all is we are opinion journalists.
Yeah.
I think I just heard the stitching creak on the word journalist. we are opinion journalists, along the lines of editorial journalists.
Yeah.
We are each one of these episodes is nothing more than an op-ed.
Yeah.
An opinion editorial. That used to be a thing. They used to have these things called newspapers, and you could wrap fish in them.
Yeah.
They were great as fish wrappers, cooked or fresh.
Or like a fire starter, maybe.
Awesome for that.
Yeah.
And they'd have a page in it called the opinion page, all of them. And now that's electronic. That's what we are. So on this short form media, there was a lady on there who I think is a doctor. And she was talking about marijuana. And she was saying how, like, I know it's legal, but marijuana use is profoundly damaging to the long-term brain health and development of people who use regularly before they're 25.
Yes, I've heard that before.
I've read about it. Yeah. Did I mention we're not medical doctors?
We're not.
Right.
We're not.
What we are is we're skateboard kids. And we're thinking people. And that's very interesting. So, what do you do as skateboarding as a people with kids? Like, I have kids. Might be going to be a granddad.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke, you got any kids?
Not yet, but soon.
Mm-hmm. So, how do we feel when we see ad material mixed in as cultural baseline?
Right.
That is just really heavy on the partying And even more, how do we feel as we look back and see that we were stewed and marinated in those juices ourselves?
Yeah.
Well, historically, you just get shouted out of the room. And you just get kooked away.
Right.
And I get it, because there are a lot of people who want to capitalize on religion, use religion. They want to capitalize on sobriety and push a control thing. And then there is the whole nobody can tell me what to do type of deal. And it's easy to say no one can tell me what to do. But these San Francisco Standard articles that have come out really give us a chance just in this one area. Because, party culture, bar culture, drug culture, these are not the only thing in this, like, bouquet of dangerous antisocial stuff that we're kind of baked in with skateboarding by, turns out, corporate advertisement powers that be. Turns out.
Yikes. Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting to connect the party culture with the corporate culture, because especially to all the boards with all the tits and asses and drugs and all that stuff on there, because it's ad copy, it's purposely like in your face. It's really right there. That's its purpose, is to sell boards, and not only that, but to sell a lifestyle. The problem is that it's not as if everybody who walks into a skate shop is over the age of 18 or over some subjective age in which people have enough brain power to make decisions about what's good for them and what isn't.
But you know who did? Didn't your skate shop owner?
Oh, that's crazy, dog.
Wasn't your skate shop owner doing a lot of the thinking for you?
I mean, they're the one who bought it and put it up on the wall.
They're the ones who bought it and put it up on the wall.
Right.
Is there not a responsibility inherent in the skate shop owner as mayor of the skateboarding town? Is that not a thing? Are they not the gatekeeper? Aren't they the ones that throw the events?
Yeah.
And aren't they the ones who say, oh, here's a brand that is all about, well, maybe sexually scandalous themes.
Right.
Oh, let's definitely stock that. That's hotcakes. Is the operative idea that they're there to serve the whims of kids who are getting corrupted by a larger push? I mean, what would happen in your mind, Luke? Sexually corruptive things, like we ain't even talking about that. We're talking about drugs and partying.
Right.
I think they're easier.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Much easier.
But your skate shop owner was usually not a person who was going to say, nope, I'm gonna find the product lines that are good equipment, solid. Because I think of brands like take Arbor skateboards for example. I mean, they're new. Or take Madrid, they're old.
Right.
Both of those live on the outside of mainstream skate culture, and they both make excellent skateboarding products.
Sure.
Do you know who rides for Arbor?
I don't.
Grayson Fletcher.
Ah.
Grayson Fletcher is, I think he's twin brothers with Kelly Slater.
They're gonna be so mad.
His brothers. They're all amazing.
They're
surfers.
incredible. Their entire family.
Grayson Fletcher, the twin brother of Kelly Slater, rides for Arbor skateboards, and
yes,
and he's amazing, and he is so Thrasher, man. He is so just killing it, and he's hash.
Yeah, super hash. Yeah, his last part was named Perdition, if I am not mistaken.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, that doesn't bother me today. That's not the thing. And but there are brands that never made it onto your shelves because your skate shop owner never recognized, maybe, or didn't fully recognize to some extent or another, the incredible damage that promoting weed culture to kids was going to do neurologically over time.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask.
It is.
It's a lot to ask.
Yeah, it is. And I can see the argument from the skate shop owner. I think it's a poor one because of my worldview, but, you know, I could see them saying, well, people want this stuff.
Yes.
They come in and they buy it. I have to stay open. I'm trying to offer the people what they want.
And that actually answers my rhetorical question.
Go ahead.
Which was, what would happen if a skate shop owner just stuck to the good stuff?
They'd probably go out of business.
Why would they go out of business?
Because the entire culture has been pushing this crap.
Well, that's almost there. I mean, you're
Yeah.
dude,
No,
you're good.
No, it's fine.
I'm being a jerk.
I don't know.
Right?
It's fine. I'm more than happy.
I'm being a dork.
I'm totally more than happy to be with you on this, yeah.
Where I'm going is that because another shop will sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just 100%. If somebody's too squeaky clean, someone else is going to open up something that someone else will be perfectly happy to scandalize the innocence and train wreck the endocrine and neurological health of these kids. And it will continue like this for some time. So we're not sitting here saying that this is going to end,
Right.
you know. But
Right.
while it continues to go on, we opted kind of for option
Go ahead.
Q. Way down the alphabet.
Yes.
We've opted to talk about it.
Oh, crazy dog.
Yeah.
That's
We're going to
insane.
talk about it. And we're going to, you know, are we calling it out?
We're discussing it.
Yeah, we're discussing it. And some might feel like that's calling it out. We're not offering a great alternative.
Well, yeah, the problem is, like, it's like a house of cards, man. You pull that one down and the entire thing crumbles in some ways. You know, because I can, like I said, I can hear the argument of skate shop owners are saying, I want to own a skate shop. I want to sell things that people like.
Yep.
And how much control does a skate shop owner have? Sometimes a lot. As when I say control, I mean influence over the people that they're selling to some degree a lot, and to others, you know, to another degree not a whole lot. So it's a tricky, it's difficult because the entire thing is sloped into that pit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And really what happens is good faith players of good intention tend not to succeed.
That's true across the board, I think.
That's just true.
Yeah.
I think it should be said, discussed, and I'm not sure that good faith players of good intention will succeed in capitalizing on skateboarding.
Yeah.
Unless there is a groundswell of awareness that and kind of education that will change what people value. And that's what changes what people value. People can learn and grow.
Yeah.
Even lots of people can learn and can grow. And that can change. What we're discussing here is the market.
Yeah.
The market lies downstream of the culture.
Right.
And I think that's a reason why, up till very recently, this kind of speech has been driven out under force from the culture.
Sure.
Because if this kind of discussion can be reasonably had for a long enough duration, people might become accustomed to actually flexing their heads.
Right.
It may begin to affect what they think about things. This may slow some of it down.
Right.
And you might see people going, you know what? I used to think that was rad.
Right.
And for example, I think it's a good thing for there to be a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
But I think that along with that freedom, there should be a lot of information.
Yeah.
I think there should be accountability, both legal, criminal accountability and social accountability.
Right.
And I think that there should be a vibrant press
Sure.
that works to, I would use the word expose, but I don't always mean exposing scandal.
Yeah.
But to profile and inform the community.
Yeah.
There's stuff that doesn't get a lot of press. I mean, I've thrown this out again and again that I would have subscribed to Thrasher magazine if it had articles about people like Pete in it more often.
Yeah.
Pete from Pete's Pigs. I don't know Pete's last name.
I don't either, dude.
Well,
It's
we
pigs.
love you, Pete.
Yeah, we love you, dude.
Yeah, I think Pete's last name is Pigs.
It's probably just pigs. Yeah, that makes sense.
I do. I think it's his last name now.
It is now.
I have known his last name, but I'm not the worst, but I rank on the scale.
I rank on the scale.
I do. And I look at the kind of, like, before I started this podcast, there was a big, long, because all I did before was call out that you've been being robbed by your industry. They pretend to be authentic and they pretend to have skateboarding's good at heart, but they ruined the industry that provides for us the boards we ride. Which, I mean, skateboard decks, they should be awesome and valuable. They should have value. And instead, they broke their arm patting themselves on the back for keeping the price of a deck around $50 for far too long.
Yeah.
While the actual value of that laminate product was abysmal.
Yeah.
Abysmal. And then behind the scenes, they did every single thing they could to keep any contrasting quality from existing in the market. Otherwise, there would have been articles about how great the wood is coming out of Madrid.
Yeah.
Because Madrid, in my opinion, Madrid far outperforms Watson, which has been like the top name in laminates,
Sure.
I think that Madrid far outperforms Watson in the quality of its laminate. And Watson is made in the USA, and good on anyone that's got that level. But even the concept of made in the USA is there's no article going to appear in Jenkem magazine about how bad it is that the Chinese Communist Party is funded by corporate America choosing to have our products made cheaply there to the detriment of both the product quality and then there are no craftspeople here that are going to make that, and I didn't like that. And I never capitalized off that argument. I never got there.
Sure.
Because I constantly, every move I made, were a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, you're just trying to make money."
Yeah, there it is.
As they prop up
right.
the actual ones who are only trying to make money.
Right.
They're not trying to offer you any quality alternative.
Right.
There's a phone call coming in. I can't stand that stuff.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking.
Look.
Is
now,
it coming in?
Now that stopped. So a phone call comes in. No matter if I put it on
Do not disturb.
Do not disturb, and the podcast recording just stops.
It just
Can't
gets
have
better and better.
And there's nothing I can do. If I put this on Do Not Disturb, it doesn't work. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put it on Do Not Disturb.
It's focused right there.
Focus.
I know, dude.
It's on Do Not Disturb. It won't work. All right, and we're back. That was a moment where we had two phone calls come in the space of 20 seconds of each other, 15.
Yeah,
5.
maybe. Yeah, 5 something.
Anyway, I beta tested kind of the intellectual, because there's an anti-intellectualism in skateboarding that is not appropriate for a community that makes a lot of claims about being open-minded and diverse and welcoming.
Yeah.
You're open-minded, diverse, and welcoming, but don't you dare talk about ethics in the industry. Don't you dare talk about product quality and those things. And the people who do talk about those things to some extent right now has fallen mostly to the likes of Gifted Hater, Ben DeGrosse.
Right.
And usually before they say anything, they preface it with, "I don't know anything about this, but..."
Right.
You can watch it. You can actually... I wouldn't give a nickel for anything someone says after they say, "Look, I haven't done a lot of research and I don't know, but this."
Didn't we just say that earlier?
About what? That we're not doctors?
Yeah. Isn't that
We
in
just-
the same vein?
You know, it's funny. It's not.
Okay.
Maybe, let me think.
Yeah, take your time.
Here's an idea.
Go ahead.
What if someone came and said to you, this is opinion journalism, and then they wanted to talk about how skateboards are made,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And they wanted to talk about which wood shop makes which boards and whether the boards are good or not. I would file that under opinion journalism and think it's not worth very much.
Sure.
If I wanted to know how skateboards are made,
Yeah.
my first call would be to Bud Stratford,
Yes.
who has worked for years and years and years on the fringes of skateboarding
Right.
as a consultant for years, has done work with major brands and distros
Right.
over the years. And I would ask Bud Stratford for a list of people I could talk to in the industry.
Yeah.
I would then call Michael Brook, who used to be the editor of Concrete Wave magazine,
Yeah.
because I know him.
Yes.
And I would ask Michael the same thing. Then I would call my other friend, Jim Gray.
Mm-hmm.
And all three of them would be happy to talk. I would pick Jim Gray's brain. And boy, Jim is a wealth. But I wouldn't only have to do that. All I'd need to do is go back a few years in Jim's Facebook page.
Yeah.
And see some amazing stuff.
Sure.
Larry Balma at Tracker Trucks once dipped in on a feed of mine and wrote a book about the inner workings of the industry. Shocking.
Wow.
How transparent he was about what I've come to call batch brokering, where an American brand will contract a Chinese firm
Yes.
to make their product. The Chinese firm
Yeah.
will then send the CAD designs out
Yeah.
and find the cheapest shop. So your skateboard trucks or your skateboard decks will be made some in Malaysia,
Yeah.
some in Indonesia,
Yeah.
some in China,
Yeah.
some in mainland China, some in coastal China.
Right.
And nobody even knows. I've never once heard anyone talk about what I've come to call batch brokering, except Larry, who said it with authority. You know, a real authority on it. It's not like it's too hard to get the information. I spoke to a major player at a major distro, very famous group in skateboarding. They're involved in publishing, and well, all I got out of them was. I'm confident that we offer the highest quality available in the market today. That's a great response.
Yes.
I would actually do some research. If I
Yeah.
were going to make an hour-long YouTube video about your skateboard wood, I would also look into, for example, like take the one that always comes up, dwindle. All right.
Right.
So Rodney Mullen, bless his socks, Rodney Mullen
Yeah.
went over to China, where they do make you feel special.
Yeah, for sure. They know you got money, dog.
Yeah. So when you go over to China, you go to a coastal major city where they do all their production.
Right.
And they show you a beautiful factory with happy people. I have a friend who went over there and he contracted some wheels to be made. He had a wheel brand. And he said there's nothing like it. They're the happiest workers in the whole world. These are the happiest people. I wouldn't have my stuff made anywhere else. And I thought, of course you think that, you silly Billy.
Yeah.
And then after you get the account,
Yeah.
they batch broker it.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, so Rodney went over and he set up the Chop Chop Wood Shop. And this gets rave reviews. And I looked, and as a guy, I'm a guy who's looked into this stuff for some time. And I saw what I'll call a wall press. It was a wall with probably 30 individual molds,
Jeez.
maybe more.
Yeah.
And each board is pressed individually. So
Okay.
these molds are all on the same ram set.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've already gone too far.
It's a bridge too far.
It is,
Yeah.
because the same hydraulic ram is actuating multiple molds.
Yeah.
Well, you guys might not know about the chain of force degradation,
Oh
but
boy.
in a chain
Yeah.
of attached molds that get put in place by a ram, you don't get the same amount of force per board.
Yeah.
Okay. This doesn't mean the boards are bad.
Yeah.
It just means that that wall there, old number 27, turns out the place where it affixes laterally into the ram set,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
It's got a loose fitting because over time it wears.
Right.
And who's checking that? And how do they, and after how many? And so, well, that's not all it's cooked up to be. Although you have to say, that could be fine. It's certainly not better than, though. It's not. It's got wiggle room and the need for maintenance and the need for, and
I mean, I could see it being better than stacking, 10 boards up in a stack.
oh gosh, yes, it's way better than stacking up 7. I've watched 7 be stacked. I've watched 5 be stacked. It's way better than that.
Yeah.
Until it's not.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
And
how much maintenance is being done, and
how many millions of units are going through it.
Right.
I mean, I knew a small board house, and they were putting out 40,000 boards a month in the high point, pressing 24 hours. They weren't properly curing things, and they had all sorts of problems with their boards. And if you asked them about the problems with their boards, they would say the same. They would see the same thing that used to work back then, and tell you you're not a real skateboarder.
There you
if
go.
you care about that.
There you go. Yeah.
We don't talk about quality, blah, blah, blah. And the owner of the place used to say, I'm skating a work board right now, and they're just fine. And I thought, well, that's not good enough.
Yeah, geez, dude.
Not for me. It wasn't good enough for me. But you see, like, the more information you can get,
right,
the more your opinion matters.
Yeah, no, I just think that Gifted Hater and Ben DeGrosse, did they talk? I've watched a couple videos. Did they speak authoritatively about it? Do they act as if they have all the information and they're giving it out as if it's not opinion journalism? I felt as if they brushed across the line, perhaps, but
you kind of get two questions. I think that they both did a fine job of identifying themselves as not really knowing.
Sure.
So the question is, were they upfront about their own level?
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes. I think that their ethics are intact. But the second question I have is, are their listeners up to the task of remembering?
That's a good question.
That during this flood.
Yeah.
Ben DeGrosse has a kind of like a thing where he'll start talking and you think you're listening to someone who knows.
Sure.
But he said he didn't.
Right.
And he's one of the only people who's willing to say anything about how boards feel and how they're made, and his product reviews are very, very popular and good on him. But I don't find his reviews to be full of terms that I can apply to what I've experienced in evaluating board quality. And I have preferences. My dials are set to kind of an interesting setting. I think it's shared by a lot of people. I like contour. I like my boards to have strength.
True.
I like my boards to have good concave. If they don't have deep concave, I want them to have well thought out concave. I want them to be durable. I want my boards, personally on the aesthetic end, I want them to have character.
Yeah.
I want them to have aesthetic character. I want them to be memorable in their shape and size and things like that. I like my boards to be, there is a range of dimensions that I prefer in my skateboards.
Sure.
And I do actually have a range. I go all the way from 14.25 wheelbase out to 14.75, 15 inch.
Yeah.
But I don't tend to nerd extra hard about those things because this is hard for a lot of skateboarders to hear. But the difference between the 8 1/8 board, the 8.126 board that you swear by,
right,
and the 8.25 board that is way too big for you
It's like this much.
is a 1/16 of an inch on each. I know it's
Yeah,
a bridge too far.
I know, dude.
And I'm also going to tell you that we as a culture shouldn't push pot to children.
Yeah.
You couldn't handle a 1/16 of an inch and telling you that, hey, look, the magic ingredient isn't your board's dimensions, it's you. Okay? That was the bad news I brought. It would be way better, in my opinion, after having looked into things, for you to choose an American-made board. This was the death of 1031.
Yeah.
For a bunch of people who claim to be real thinkers, like real punk rock rebels, we sure obeyed our corporate class and bought Mexican and Chinese straight down the line and gave Christian Svitak the raw deal.
And
that's nuts.
I was thinking about on Sunday, I was driving home from church, and I was considering the idea that the options out there for people are such shit, and not only that, but everybody is so proud of you every time you break a board. You know what I mean? It's such a smart.
Genius.
It's absolutely genius.
They did it with shoes
marketing,
too.
Yeah,
it's genius.
Yeah.
The vulcanized sole shoe for board feel.
Yeah, like they made product shitty and then told you that it was great if you destroyed them, and then you just bought more of them, and we all just ate it up. You know what I mean?
I could never do this trick without a shoe with board feel.
Yes.
Just real quick. You're kidding me, right?
And
you could do it in anything that you skate in regularly. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
You are amazing.
Yeah.
You got this. You got this.
And I understand, like I have been picky about the thing that feels good to me because, especially for me, and I think it's true for a lot of skateboarders, the way that something feels, the way that a shoe feels or a board feels, it rises in value because to some extent skateboarding it's all about the way that it feels, so if it doesn't feel right, it's a huge bummer. But what's funny, as I've gotten older, I've realized, like, no man, just give it a week, because the way that it feels is all just based on your preference, based on what you've been doing,
how you feel.
Yeah. And how you feel.
It's more about how you feel about it.
Right.
So and this is where I really don't think that there should be boycotts or like brand lockouts or anything like that. I just think that as a people we should talk more.
Yeah.
I think we should just talk more. I think we should talk to each other more, and we should learn more.
Right.
And like this thing, like, hey, as a culture, are we proud of ourselves for pushing so much weed culture to children whose endocrine and neurological systems we're going to be affected by this at lifestyle level?
Yeah.
No, we should not be. And we shouldn't be loyal to corporate interests that profit off of that. That was a bad move. I don't think that's a very radical position.
No, I don't. I don't either.
However,
yeah,
the feedback ekes its way through that's just too far.
Yeah. Yeah, because much like any other hobby or thing that people care about really deeply and has a huge culture attached to it, people assign their entire identity to it. And so when you say things like that, I think people feel like you're destroying the one thing that makes me happy, or you're pulling down the golden idol. This is who I am. You're crushing me right now. I think that's behind a lot of the narrative.
Yeah.
Which is, I respect that people are in that zone, but I personally don't respect that. It's bad. It's bad. That's my opinion about it. If you're 16, you shouldn't be smoking pot. I agree with you. That's a big reason, because I smoked pot for a while, and I remember feeling like, dang, I sure do feel dumb when I do this, like for days and days afterwards. And I think it is partly because it's such a potent drug.
It's a medicine.
It's a medicine.
It's a great medicine. It's an amazing medicine. It's ironic and painful that historically we've allowed corporate interests to propagandize us, and to run that medicine out of our cabinets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable to me that, knowing all we know about the history of marijuana, that it is a Schedule I controlled substance. Cocaine is a Schedule II.
Yeah, that's insane, dude.
So is heroin.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It just is, and I'm continuing to learn about that. But doctors know.
Yeah.
So Google it.
Google it.
Google it.
Yeah, come on, man.
And just learn about it. And so this said,
yeah,
this time that we've spent discussing the San Francisco Standard articles that have come out, we've identified a really menacing element in the second of those articles, and we highlight it with sympathy for all involved.
Yeah.
That you get statements that include kind of two pieces. Like, we've been trying to have this conversation. Okay, now that's the embodiment of too little, too late.
Yeah.
For a magazine that is responsible for setting the dials for young people.
Right.
And by the way, they've lost it. I mean, the young people are doing slalom races now. The young people are doing
right.
freestyle. It's fine. I mean, it really is fine.
Or they're riding a scooter.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not really mad because fewer and fewer people care what that magazine says about things. But they're saying, we've been trying to have this trying to start this conversation, trying to have it.
Yeah. And
then the second thing they say, but there are a lot of, elements of market involved here.
Yeah, he literally came out and said it. It was out of his mouth, not ours.
And I'm not sitting here, I'm not voicing, I think I'm easy to misunderstand because I'm not actually doing a call to change.
Sure. I'm
not propagandizing you with some call to revolution. Right? No. I'm saying, hey, well, let's all just have a look at this landscape.
Yeah.
And let's look at this.
Right.
And let's really take it in. Like, everybody slow down.
Yeah.
Like, let's slow down.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Right.
Let's think. Let's not do it's tough. It's hard for me to say certain things because they seem to reflect badly on things I really am not out to pick on.
Sure.
But I'm going to say something that might seem like it's picking on, like, the 9 Club.
Go ahead.
And I don't intend to do that.
Sure.
The 9 Club it's the Just Fine Club.
Yeah.
But the 9 Club really doesn't dig in and ask those questions, and they've allowed a lot of things to slip through, as like someone can come in there and just gaslight the heck out of all of us,
right,
and tell us how it is when they're dead wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not wrong for opinion journalists to say something is right or something is wrong. In fact, the purpose of opinion journalism is to convince other people of positions. That should be admitted.
Right.
It's not that opinion journalism doesn't. I really don't want to get trapped into talking about journalism all the time, but it's necessary.
It feels good to me, huh?
We're here to convince you to do something, and that thing we like is for you to slow down and think.
Yeah.
Slow down, and let's think, and also let's talk. And it's more than fine with us if someone wants to come out and say, like, hey man, I don't like it when people talk bad about weed, which we didn't actually do.
Yeah, crazy dog.
That actually didn't happen. That
Right.
is a kind of a consistent thing we get. That they're always talking bad about weed.
Yeah.
I do believe that I said it's an amazing medicine.
Yeah.
I think I also said it's a historic injustice that it has been scheduled out of our pharmacies, out of our medicine cabinets.
Right.
Everyone ought to have that medicine in their homes.
Right.
But it's not a safe medicine for children under the age of 18, for people under the age of 25 during the important time of brain development. It's important that they not regularly use that.
Yeah. It appears that way.
It is.
Yeah.
From what I've read,
Yeah.
From what I've read, it seems conclusively to be the case, well evidenced, that is not a good application of that medicine.
Yeah.
And so, like, How do you get from what we were saying to, hey, you guys are always hating on weed?
Right.
Right. Easy. You just put down 30 or 40 years of anti-intellectual, mainstream, for-profit, corporate-owned media.
Yeah.
So we're pushing, I think what would be healthy for our listeners is to recognize that we have been propagandized.
Yeah.
We've been sold a bill of goods from the boards we ride to, what even authenticity or legitimacy can mean for you or for me.
Sure.
What brand of shoes we buy, on and on. We've been propagandized. And it is our opinion that just won't do.
No.
So we're adding our voice to the mix and saying to you that these San Francisco Standard articles that came out on the subject of Phelps passing really transcend that tragic event and occurrence.
Yeah.
There is a weight on all of us of responsibility, how we're going to think forward from here.
Yeah.
There will be people who want to capitalize on branded outrage. I would avoid that. Yeah. I'd love you to avoid that.
Yeah.
We're not branding on outrage.
No. I am a little bit outraged.
Maybe
we're not branding.
Maybe we might wind up being branded as outraged because these things are legitimately outrageous. We have emotional reactions to our friends and people who we love dying in such wasteful, negligent ways.
Right.
All the while, not entirely, but largely enabled.
Yep. At least uninhibited. At least, and I think that's more than kind.
Largely enabled by the predominant mainstream voices of our culture.
Yeah.
And that is not something we call good. I don't know what. It's a lot of work.
It is. I was thinking...
this should be boring.
No, I was just thinking about what a big ask it is to say, hey, we want people to think, because I'll be danged if you don't start thinking and then you start realizing things need to change, and suddenly you are looking at your entire life and realizing, wow, I have built my house on the sand, and it is a tremendous amount of work to move a house built on sand, man. It is tremendous. And at what point are you just like, okay, I'm committed to this, so just knock it down and start over? And I think for a lot of people, it's 35 years of just habitual not thinking, not engaging with things that are important, and that's so gnarly. Geez, wow.
It makes me think about, I was at a skate park some time ago, and there was a man there. He's not a young man because he's in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
And he had pinprick pupils and alcohol on his breath. He was saying, man, I want to be on your podcast, man. And he's actually a person that I really, really love.
Sure.
And his skateboarding is remarkable.
Yeah.
It really is. His skateboarding is really remarkable. And I thought how difficult it would be to spend an hour and a half without coming up on, but what about life? Like, what about the larger framework in which skateboarding is, skateboarding is a part of our lives.
Right.
And it's not an important part of our lives. Ooh, that's tricky.
Yeah, that's a spicy
That's a spicy take. Now, let me explain. Skateboarding may be an important part of your life because it might be the arena for a lot of learning and growing for you.
Yeah.
But there are limits to what skateboarding has to offer you in terms of of growth.
Yeah.
There really are.
Especially if you're just talking about just skateboarding. You know what I mean? Like just the act of skateboarding,
Right.
or even just the act of skateboarding and being a part of the culture as a consumer. There's not a whole lot there. It's mostly just vanity.
Well, we could try. We could try and dress it up for you and tell you that skateboarding will teach you perseverance, and it will teach you. I think perseverance. Maybe I don't know if I would use the term discipline. Maybe
It could.
it's something about following your dreams. Maybe that.
I think it does have a lot to offer. I think the act itself, if your house is in order, has a lot to offer to people.
Yeah, but skateboarding as a mainstay of personal development. That's the way it's sold. The skateboarding as a mainstay.
Yeah.
Is that not a little bit too Disney princess? You know, is that not a little too follow your dreams? Does that wind up losing its shine when you're 45 years old and it's time to learn, I don't know, how to raise a kid?
Yeah.
Or how to, I don't know, some of the things you have to learn. How to, I feel like there's nothing wrong with being a server in a restaurant at 50 years old.
Sure.
That's not wrong, you know, but budgeting and responsibility and temperance, you know, like what do you call it?
Go ahead.
Virtues.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, virtues, like the things that make, you know, you're not going to learn to always tell the truth from your skateboard.
Yeah.
There's a lesson that is very important. You're going to learn that through the relationships that you build as you do difficult things, and you know, you're going to learn those things through difficult situations that you would rather not be in, that you persevere in for larger goals.
Yeah.
Like providing for a family. Now, not everybody's going to get married, but sadly, within the lessons that skateboarding tends to teach, many people who are involved in skateboarding also learn some really bad habits, really bad, what they call vices.
Yeah.
Like being super proud and arrogant about silly frippery.
Yeah.
Like, I did the trick and I'm better than everyone else, and so I can be promiscuous and
No.
expect no consequences.
No.
The party lifestyle comes up. See,
Yeah.
because I was thinking, you know, we've talked about industry issues and integrity in the industry, and that one's a bridge too far. We played around on the edges of alcohol and heroin
Yeah.
for a couple episodes, and the force of the argument and the subject matter is too heavy, far too difficult.
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
And then today we dipped in on how responsible, educated, high information, intellectually solid approaches to things like marijuana and debatable medicine.
Right.
You know, that's important. But what about promiscuity? You know, what about health class? And what about good relationships? And how do you find a mate for life? And how do you,
Yeah.
it turns out skateboarding can't teach you those things. And your friends you skateboard with, typically, writ large,
Right.
usually are not on a track to teach you those things either.
Yeah. I think I was thinking, because I'm about to have a son, and I fully plan to have him on board
Yeah,
as soon as humanly possible, and he's hopefully
all my
gonna
sons.
love it and want to
Yeah.
shred all the time, and that'll be super fun for me because I'll get to go to the skate park with my kid and watch him learn and grow.
And I with my
teach.
grandkid.
Yeah, and that'll be sick. And so that's why I think it's easy to lose the point through the haze. And I think part of the problem, quote unquote, is that as soon as you start talking about skateboarding and the ethics behind it, you immediately realize that skateboarding is almost peripheral to the more important things that we'd like to discuss. So we're talking about like setting your house in order and living
we really
responsibly and ethics and good versus bad and these things through a lens of skateboarding.
So preachy.
I know, so preachy. That's why I think when I talk about these things, I try to be careful because I think that skateboarding actually does have a lot to offer if it is seen in its proper place as a tool to be used to teach good ethics and all kinds of things. virtues and all that jazz.
You-
I mean, baseball is the same way.
Well, you
BMX
want to know
is the
why?
same way.
I was going to say, you
Go
want to
ahead.
know why I think skateboarding is far superior to tennis for teaching what things can teach?
Yeah.
Because I never played tennis.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I can't help but wonder if
Yeah.
the same things we attribute to skateboarding
Yeah.
could, maybe someone would say, yeah, I learned that in tennis. Like I learned those same things in XYZ sport. I'm not sure. I don't prefer court sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a strength inherent to skateboarding in this arena that we're talking about because there is an art.
It's artistic.
It's artistic, and
It is.
that artisticness is inherent to what we're doing. There isn't a whole lot of rules, even though we like to make a whole bunch of them. But at its core, it's supposed to be a game without rules. It's supposed to be whatever you want it to be. And I think in that there's a lot of freedom to discuss things that are important, However, I mean, I really think that a strong argument could be made the same way about football and baseball, learning how to lose, learning how to play a game by the rules and to be a...
Boy, I tell you, you
You
sure
know,
learn how to lose in skateboarding.
Yeah,
I mean, what a football takes a whole team
Yeah.
like 3 hours
Yeah.
to learn
Yeah.
what a skateboarder learns about 75 times before they get the clip.
Yeah, right.
I really love skateboarding.
Yeah, you're one rock stop away from a great life lesson.
Oh, I like what Tim Ray just put up. He says sometimes skate culture is the only time in your life people cheer you on and are on your side. See now, and that speaks to huge, massive issues
Yeah.
that exist in humanity. Because our parents should have been there for us.
Yeah.
And a lot of our parents couldn't pull it off. They were maybe trying and maybe they weren't. I mean, it can be really bad. And skateboarding scooped up a lot of us who had difficult pasts and difficult upcoming. I'm not meaning to put it at evil on anyone,
Right.
but it is great. But I mean, will the audio buzz on the phone if we're hotspotted is a great question.
Hush now.
We're back on Facebook, but this thing, sometimes skateboarding is the only place where people cheer you over here. So
We're back.
technology notwithstanding,
Go ahead.
now we have to keep our eyes peeled to make sure the audio doesn't go down too.
Yes.
I think it might be the case that skateboarding was a place where you found people who would cheer you on. Here's where skateboarding has historically fallen short.
Yep.
Is people will cheer you on, but they'll also cheer you on in very destructive things.
Yep.
Lifted up as culture, fully endorsed by, back in the day, and even today,
Mm-hmm.
Thrasher magazine.
Yeah.
And that's not good. And
Yeah.
I think that going forward, we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah. At least let's have a
We're
conversation.
going to talk about it.
Yeah. Because the entire culture is tilted, it has an angle on it, and people have a tendency to kind of, follow the path of least resistance. And you can see that played out in the life of Jake Phelps. And it breaks my freaking heart, dog.
It's been breaking our hearts for years.
Dude, it's breaking me. It's like, it's just so sad.
Because we could see it coming.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years
dude,
ago.
bro.
10 years ago, I was sitting in my workshop being sad
Yeah.
because everything in mainstream skateboarding was set on you. I said it on live streams before. It's like they want you to die on a couch.
Literally.
Like they want you to die like Phelps and die like Monk and die like Grosso and it's, I just am like, we have this wonderful toy
Yeah.
for such a short time.
Yeah.
We have this wonderful toy. And I know for my listeners who are in maybe your early or mid-20s, I know that for the past 40 years, all you 20-something-year-olds have not had so much of a nudge. I mean, almost everyone who talks on this side of the argument is, well, they're religious or they're and they're trying to market like a board brand on it.
Yeah, I don't like
You
that
know,
very much,
I don't like it very much.
Yeah.
And we wanted to put out media that is saying, no, hold up. Let's popularize, let's platform, like, thinking and talking about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then let's take that, let's not attack freedom.
No.
Let's stay libertine. Let's stay free.
Yeah.
But let's make it more common that we would think things through, and let's make it more common that we would put a hand on a friend and say, you know where you'd be awesome? Rehab. You should go to rehab.
Dude,
then you should get out and you should go back.
I literally had a conversation at a skate park in Colorado with a guy, and he was super happy and giving me all kinds of board taps and stuff. And I started a conversation with him, and he was like, he admitted to me that he was on pills, that his wife didn't know, that she told him if she caught him on pills again, that she was going to be done with their marriage. He had a little kid with him, and I straight up told him to his face, I was like, my dude, I love you. If you were to listen to what I would tell you, that would be great. And I'm telling you, you should go home and tell your wife right now, and you need to go to rehab right now. And I was like, for the sake of your little kid, he had like a 4-year-old kid like banging around.
Yeah.
It was such a stark experience. I remember leaving feeling really brokenhearted because he was really happy. He was just eating at the buffet of hedonism. You know, he was on pills, he was skateboarding. His high was exactly where he wanted it to be. He felt really connected with everybody there. It was obvious that he felt like we were really making this connection. And all I could see was full steam ahead right into the rocks of total life destruction. And you can see it, again, you can see it totally played out. I mean, we haven't even talked about Bam Margera, you know, like...
I love
Bam.
And I love Steve-O and Wee Man and all these guys. Talk about Too Little Too Late.
Yeah.
And talk about, the thing is, like, you can capitalize on criticizing these people's behavior.
No, yeah.
And we're safe from that.
Yeah.
Because we're very unlikely to see much capital.
Yeah, good thing. Yeah, right.
But what we want to do is we want to be part of, you know, maybe mainstreaming.
Yeah.
Conversations that are like, I don't care if it takes you 20 tries.
Yeah.
Working on, and I don't like sobriety as a cause in and of itself.
Yeah.
But it'll do.
Yeah, that's fine.
It'll do.
Yeah.
I think that a huge portion of skateboarding's constituency,
Really?
community.
Yeah.
I think a huge portion of skateboarding's community should be encouraging other people to get out of that stuff. And the sad thing is, all of a sudden my skateboarding time is enveloped in the fires of conflict.
Yeah. I'm really struck by what we're asking of people. And I think it's a lot. And I'm not saying
a lot.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. I'm right here.
It feels like a lot.
Yeah, it feels like a lot because you can see it. Like a person maybe comes from a broken home, or maybe they just don't want to be at the house, so they develop this relationship with people who skate, and suddenly they skate, and this entire culture is all about doing what you want and being a little hedonist and banging around, and it's really good because it's a safe
you have to,
zone
in life. You've got to learn how to tribe up. You've got to learn how to have a group of friends. You've got to learn that. Those are very important learning times.
Right.
And skateboarding has served amazingly as a way for mostly young men to tribe up, group up, gang up, learn to lean on each other, do those things. Right. And that's a keeper.
It is.
The problem is that a lot of us are older now, and we're looking back and we're going, well, some of those times as a kid need to be left in the times when I was a kid.
That's the thing.
I'm big now. I'm a big kid now, and
yeah.
I keep the childlikeness, but leave the childishness behind, and especially when that childishness includes, I don't know, the abuse of substances.
Yep.
Or dangerous promiscuity.
Right.
Like, that's a good conversation.
Yeah.
And then when brands come out, when brands come out, also Scott just dropped a comment that I'm going to address in a moment. Scott dropped a really good comment here.
Indeed.
But brands are coming out. Corporate-owned brands from California are coming out here. And look, it's creepy when Pepsi had a skateboarding team. That's cringe, right?
Yeah, right.
That's a cringy thing.
Yeah.
That's bad enough because it's not good for you to drink sugar water.
Yeah, come on.
But what am I going to allow it? I'm nobody.
Yeah, come on.
But it's really dark when brands come out. We even have like this very strange critter in our branding environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's called heroin skateboards.
It's in the name.
And the word on the street is that's because they're against heroin.
Is that really the narrative?
Yeah, something like that. It comes up. That's what, I've heard that over the counter.
Okay.
And, because skateboarding is, you do skateboarding instead of heroin.
Yeah.
And honestly, I give it 3 stars.
Yeah. Like
I
2.5,
I
maybe.
give it 3 stars.
Yeah.
I would take Blood Wizard over heroin.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a big lover of Blood Wizard skateboards
Yeah.
for their early days when they had their lore on the comic strips.
Yes.
For creativity.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Luciferian imagery and the promotion of occult things
Right.
like that. But Blood Wizard was so good.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Except, and because I'm a thinking person, I can understand that like Blood Wizard is super fun for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to do the stuff that Jerry Gurney does.
Sure.
So as an adult, and I don't think, but like, now let's talk about Scott's Point.
Yeah.
Scott's Point touches on, in order to be helped, they have to want help. Okay, something you need to know about stepping in someone's life and saying, hey man, I can't ride in your car if you're going to be drinking.
Yeah.
I can't ride in your car if you're going to be wasted on pills.
Right.
Right? Is that all of a sudden now you're in conflict. You're more likely to just ride in the car.
Sure.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Your family needs you.
Right.
Don't die like that. But it won't work. Like, the point isn't that it works to stand in someone's life and say, hey man, no. I'm not doing that. The point is that sometimes it works.
Yeah.
That maybe even the vast majority of those kind of conflicts, bro, I can't hang out with you if you're gonna, sis, I can't hang out with you if you're gonna be on pills. I can't be around that stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna knock me off the wagon.
Yeah.
I can't, I can't be around that. You know what? I'll meet you up for the session, but I'm not going to the bar afterward. And even next level, which is, hey, I love you. We skate together all the time. I hate to jam us up, but you're getting out of control. Yeah. Friends do that. You're going to lose your marriage. You're going to lose your kids. You're going to lose your life.
Yep.
If you don't get this under control. And I understand, I've been there many times where I don't think this person is ready for this.
Yeah.
I think people being ready for things is overrated.
Yeah.
I do. And to say like, I'm here for you, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be agreeable.
Yeah.
About. I'm a pretty spicy guy. And when I love someone and I feel responsible to our relationship, I tend to say spicy things to them.
Yeah.
But a lot of you who are listening are not accustomed to the long view on that stuff. And I have a lot of respect. Luke, I think you said it. We're asking a lot. We're asking what feels like a lot of our listeners.
Yeah.
To begin, and for some of you, as the Canadians would say, it's a process.
It's a process.
For some of you, it's a process of thinking and using your brain and your heart to digest and come out changed. And for some of you, you need to hear this. Take the time it takes to think things through and experiment with, how do I even with this?
Yeah.
You being there for them, but also don't be so agreeable to the things that wreck kids. I think about like I have a real soft spot for the innocence of children.
Yeah.
I do. I have a real soft spot for it, but a lot of people don't experience it as a soft spot. They experience it as a hard spot.
Yeah.
Where I'm standing in a skate shop,
Yeah.
speaking to a shop owner and pointing at the display that's on eye level for kids that has Rudy Johnson, I think it was Cliver who did, I forget now. I think it might have been Sean Cliver did the art for World Industries, and has Rudy Johnson, that those cartoon graphics of sex acts and bodily function and suicide acts and drug acts and things like that, pointing at that and saying, I don't get it. What's the big idea with your skate shop? You guys come off like you're like you're good, but this is an evil thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's not right. That's wrong. That's wrong to do that.
Yeah.
And being the odd man out, and not having an account with that skate shop. And watching them persist in keeping doing that. And understanding that there's a place in all of society for erotica. There's a place in all of society for satire.
Yeah.
Even dark, transgressive humor.
Yeah.
I do not want those things eradicated, but geez, bro.
Come on, man.
Right?
Can you at least put it on the top shelf?
That's what I'm saying.
Anything at all?
Put it on the top shelf, or put it in a. Yeah, I don't know. Figure it out.
Right.
That is what we're arguing for. Is don't expect everything to always work, but try something.
Just anything.
I'm listening to the San Francisco Standard article, and it's telling me we didn't know what to do. Well, they sure did a few things. They sure told that film crew not to print the exposure of the degree to which things had degraded.
Right.
When you read the Standard articles, you're going to see they sure knew what to do in order to hide and enable those things. So this whole attitude of, well, what are we supposed to do? Try some things. I had a pretty very well-known skateboarder talk to me one time for a long time. He just really poured out his heart and was talking to me about the bar culture and how once he sobered up and got out of the bar, it all came back on his head that the person who doesn't show up is the one that they all trash.
Right.
And it really got bad. And there were a lot of hugs, and you try to encourage someone to not get swallowed up again by that culture. I'm like, move to my house. Come live with us over here and put down a few years and get strong.
Yeah.
And that's the journey of so many people, losing careers, losing reputation because now they're, I don't know. Every now and then you get someone who actually capitalizes on being sober.
Yeah.
You can look at an Andrew Reynolds.
Yeah.
And he has been able to maintain a very high status in skateboarding. And he's been able to help his friends.
Yeah.
I think it's exemplary.
Yeah.
I do. I think that's exemplary. And what I mean by exemplary is I think that's a good example. I think that's good. See, we can do this. We have done this. It's not like it's not been happening. What I was hoping we could wrap up these San Francisco Standard articles with was the encouragement and explanation to all of you that our interest is in just being a part of the conversation broadening.
Yeah.
And we would like to actively encourage all of you to think about life in broader terms, be less agreeable to corporate branding and media. there was no giant, we want our boards made well, we want our boards made in America movement from my work previously. That would have been, I wanted to see 1031 stay.
Sure.
That didn't happen. There was no loyalty to that healthier approach, and I was very sad that that just wasn't going to happen. There was too much clout pointed the other direction. I am not expecting there to be a sobriety revolution in skateboarding.
Yeah.
I don't expect that there will be anything more than probably some profiteering on... There's probably going to be a pivot and lip service paid.
Right.
And they're probably just going to keep, you know, like neck facing their way down into the lower bobs of it. You know?
Yeah.
And that's okay, because we're here.
We're going to keep talking.
We're going to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
And so that's our answer, isn't to tear down what's going on. It's to just do this in addition to it.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm really struck by what a bitter pill it is that, you know, the second San Francisco Standard article talked about the fact that one of the reasons that Jake Phelps was doing drugs is because he was worried that he wasn't a real skateboarder, and he had built his entire life around skateboarding. He was, you know, the godfather of skateboarding, or whatever, you know, the dirty uncle of skateboarding. Or
That's
like
Frank
it.
Gerwer.
Yeah, I guess that is Frank Gerwer.
We love you, Frank.
Yeah, we love you, Frank.
We do.
But you can see where that ethic leads a person's life. And I think one thing that I want to tell people is, in my opinion, if you're on a skateboard and you're having fun, you are a real skateboarder.
That's so precious.
Yeah. You don't have to... The idea is that you have to prove yourself by skateboarding stunts to be a real skateboarder, or at least slam so hard that you're going to destroy your body and get concussions and have, you know, huge swell bows, and now you're legitimate. And in my book, that's not the case. And you don't have to turn to chemical sedation to soothe your tortured soul. You know, there's another option. There is another option out there, and it involves some mind work and some life work.
Your head,
yeah,
and your brain, and your mind.
Yeah, right. Your head and brain and mind are going to have to work together. But there is another option. It doesn't. You don't have to go out like that, bro. You don't have to go out like that.
And you don't have to be the reason someone else went out like that without... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't understand that it takes 8, 10, 15 people in a person's life for an idea to get through.
Yep.
We like the idea of being the person who got through to them, but what we don't appreciate is usually you're number 3 in a line of 25 people.
Yeah, right.
And we want you to be encouraged to be number 3 in a line of 25 or 75 people who are pushing a better idea than substance abuse in the life of a person, and to be content. Yeah. And to be okay with showing up at the skate spot and not being as loved by everyone because you actually stood a line. Yeah. And that line could be against substance abuse, but it could also be against sexual harassment. Yep. You know, every one of us who has stood in a skate park and watched a young lady get sexually harassed, or maybe a feminine male get sexually harassed, we're part of why their suicide or their personal degradation, you know, as it degrades people to be harassed. Right. You know, you should not like being complicit in other people's destruction more than you like something, the homies, something. Right. The block, something. Yeah. You know? Right. And your love for the block should not be greater than your love for the ultimate good of your neighbor. Yeah. But the problem with words like ultimate good is that skateboarding as a culture hasn't really done a great job at all of understanding long-term or ultimate goods. Yeah. And I don't have a huge amount of thanks to give to the professing Christian skateboarding ministries out there who say, who weirdly represent an odd version of pro skater Jesus stuff.
Sure.
We will probably address this in multiple episodes in the future.
Right.
But for this episode, we wanted to leave, Luke, what you said about this fixation with being good at skateboarding that was attributed with driving Jake into drugs. First of all, I don't completely believe that sounds like not being good at skateboarding drove him into medicating himself. And that stands fine enough, but there's something wrong there. I don't know. I mean, I'm not actually specifically asking about Jake, but for those of you who are tormented with losing your talent in skateboarding, you've got some work to do on being a person.
Straight up.
Because if your self-worth is bound up with doing tricks on a wooden toy that you're supposed to smile while you're riding,
right?
Then you should get some help. I mean, go talk to someone.
Yeah.
Talk to someone.
Yeah.
Tell them, I think something's wrong with me because I can't feel good about myself without basically skydiving. Yeah. I don't feel alive unless I've hucked myself down a stair set 75 times and gotten a clip. Yeah. That's deficient. Yes. That's not adequate for a human person. Yeah. Is nobody telling us that that's a problem? Because it is. That's a good takeaway from the Phelps situation.
Absolutely. And you can see inherent with that argument, like there is a level, we were saying that Jake was sedating himself because
of the torment.
But in some way, the torment itself was the sedation as well. That's entirely what skateboarding is. It's play.
That's compulsive.
Yeah, it's totally
right. That's actually not freedom.
No.
That's not the freedom everyone likes to talk about with skateboarding.
Right.
That you're not okay. If I knew a person and they said, I just don't feel okay unless I skate. Right. I would tell them, well, you've got to overcome that. Taking breaks from skateboarding might be a good way to do that, because when you take a break and you create a vacuum in your soul, in your mind, you actually create opportunity for the growth of other
more important things.
Like there are other streams that can flow into you, and maybe you wind up tapping into some of those other flows. Like, I always am like, well, learn to play guitar, do math problems. I don't know, I'm big on read your Bible. You know, I'm big on that.
100%.
But like maybe, maybe coming outside of our cultures, like learn how to make money and handle money, and then travel. Yeah. Travel where you're not mostly doing tricks and being admired for doing tricks. Right. I'm not sure a lot of people are saddled with that as a job. Sure. But a lot of people are saddled with an expectation that they should aspire to that. Yeah. And maybe you find out, like, for me, one thing I'm kind of passionate about is I love Harley Davidson repair, specifically the twin cam motor. I love it. Yeah. It's like really something that makes me I love to study it and learn about it. And I love watching videos on Harley repair and talking to one of my best friends who's a Harley repair guy. I love it as an earthly thing. It's one of the things that I really enjoy. When I ride my skateboard, I'm free from having to be good. Yeah. I have other things in my life that bring context, and so what's not the thing about skateboarding is the best to me is how it's not important. It's so nice to be doing something that isn't important. Right. My life is very full with things that are terribly important. Yeah. And that's what would be great is if our lives were more full of things that are terribly important.
Yeah.
And and skateboarding was a break from all these really important things where we could just enjoy it. Sadly, a lot of predominant mainstream corporate money skateboard culture wants skateboarding to be far more important than I think is most useful for a meaningful life.
Yeah.
And in the case of the San Francisco Standard articles, I think sadly we're seeing a didactic tale. Didactic is something that has a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
And one of the lessons is, if you let this stuff be too important to you, you could lose focus on the things that are truly important.
Right.
And that's up to you to decide what they are. You know, we have strong recommendations that we will continue to make.
Yeah.
But it'd be good. It'd be good for us all to take a few years and talk and grow together about what those things might be.
Yeah.
Now, that said,
yeah,
we'd like to thank, we don't have exactly sponsors for our podcast, but we would like to take the last moment or two here to thank the people who go through the rigmarole and go on to Podbean.
Yes.
Podbean.
Not Potbeam.
And sponsor us with a gift.
Yeah.
We're very grateful for that.
Yeah.
We rounded a curve. I got some feedback from the Northwest. They really like us to step up our mic game.
Yeah.
We think they're right.
Yes.
So we'd like to get some of them mics.
Some of them sick.
Pick up the room.
Yeah.
A little bit of that eggshell foam.
Yeah, or something cool.
That goes and does whatever that is.
Muffles
I think.
things.
Yeah,
I don't
gets
know.
the room right. We'd like to do that.
Yeah.
We can't do it without your help.
Yeah.
So the gifts that come in really help us toward getting those things done. We also are probably going to shift over to a laptop or a tower and a couple of laptops.
Yep.
Because I really would like to be able to play a clip.
Yeah.
I had a couple of clips I really wanted to play, and I think that we're going to need to get into a little bit better tech.
Yeah.
Where we can stick a clip like right in this zone right down here.
Yeah.
And you know, something right there and watch it together, and that all means we'll have to get real. So a big thank you to those who have gone through Podbean.
Did you say?
I did.
Did you say,
I
dude?
did.
Yes, finally.
Totally, dude. For those of you who've gone through that, you know, we appreciate those of you who do that. We need help to do those things. We are putting in time to do this. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to be around a long time no matter what.
Yeah.
And so we'd like to thank them. We'd like to thank Life Skateboards for making boards we ride. I'd like to give a first initial shout out to Zeppelin Aero Works, who have it's like a guest model for a historic photo. The guest model for me won't come out probably for another year or two.
Sure.
But there's a historic photo project, and the brand is made by Madrid.
Yeah.
Love that. Made by Madrid.
Yeah.
And run out of Arizona.
Yeah.
By Bud Stratford. And I'll be saying more things about the photo project as the time goes forward, but I'm very excited about the historic people they're bringing back to our minds through this photo project. We've got people like Jim Goodrich and others involved, some amazing photographers, and people are involved with it. So I'm very happy about that. And you can see we've got one of their, Bud pronounces it Deutschland.
Deutschland.
It's Deutschland.
Oh my gosh. What a unit.
Bud is an absolute unit.
He's a unit. That's sick.
So we want to thank Life Skateboards for making the boards we ride, for Zeppelin Aero Works for doing a cool project and being stand-up guy in the times we're in.
Yeah.
And today we will not be thanking Huck Style Multi-Balm because I left it in the truck.
Praise
We
God.
didn't have the dog today, but I don't think I brushed my teeth in like 3 days, so it could have been bad. Was it bad?
No, it's fine.
Ah,
That's so gnarly, dude.
I know, I'm terrible.
Like visceral reaction to that.
By the way, yeah, Michael Brooks from Concrete Wave is back in the scene. I love Michael Brook.
Yeah.
Michael Brook. He is back in the scene doing stuff, and but also has a new Facebook group that we'll mention. And we are looking for folks like that to sponsor the podcast, but we haven't yet figured out the value of a sponsorship for the podcast. But we are looking for like-minded folks that think this content is helpful to their mission. We're at 90 minutes and 30 seconds.
That doesn't seem right.
Maybe they bumped us up. Well, we're going to end the audio podcast right now because we think it cut us off.
Yeah, probably.
All right. That's very strange that they allowed us to go over 90 minutes on Podbeam. Did it again. I said Podbeam again.
Dude, it's so easy to do. There's like the consonants are hard to enunciate.
Seriously, Luke.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Love and respect to my guy.
Podbeam.
Because we had this conversation a while back. You guys might not remember, but I'm like, do you even care?
Yeah, literally.
Bro, you even care how things are spelled?
I was totally...
You have to say it like it's spelled or people can't type it in.
I was just like letting it wash over me. I was comforted by your personality.
My disapproval.
No, it was awesome, dude. Because I totally don't care.
You're a good friend. You're a good friend.
I love you, my dude. Yeah, I care about you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, yeah, there is an article. If someone wants to link Bud's group, it's like middle-aged skateboarders who don't care anymore type of thing.
Perfect.
It's awesome. I wonder if this... I unburied an old iPad. I unburied an old iPad, and I've had it on a charger for a long time. It's an iPad Air from like 2010. And it has no battery life, and I don't have the right charger for it. I think it takes more voltage. So we unburied it so we could pull up articles. And every time I turn it on, it's only got 1%. And it's honestly, it's typical of our entire studio. Help us, friends.
Yeah, gosh.
Please help us.
That's so funny.
Oh, it's at 33%.
Surely not.
It is. It's at 33%.
Wow.
Hey, this is awesome. I think now that we can pull up articles and talk, and I could put up. Look at the screen quality, Luke. I could put
It's one giant pixel.
I could put dude, I could totally put we don't need to have like high tech because I could put something up and put it like right here. The only problem is because we're using lav mics, the sound won't come through on audio.
Yeah, that would be...
Yeah.
I'm going to link the Concrete Wave article.
Great.
It's in the comments.
That's great. I have a feeling that we will probably one day become part of a media group.
Empire.
Yeah, well, consortium.
Empire.
A studio, a suite of services, perhaps.
Empire.
And that'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to jump off of here and do our second episode after we pee.
Yes.
This will be going up on YouTube.
GoobTube.
GoobTube will be current by mid-February, I think.
Yeah, no, earlier than that. But
Good.
there is usually there's days of time between our initial posting and it going up on GoobTube.
So this will not be available on the GoobTube until it becomes current in probably by mid-February. We will have everything up on YouTube running right.
Yep.
Who's going to watch them when you can listen to the audio so easily?
I don't know. I think people like the watching experience.
They may. And I had a lot of people who have listened to my live videos on Facebook as podcast material, which is it's a cool move.
Yeah, nice guys.
I see where you're going.
Yeah, nice.
All right. Well, I wish you all well. For what it's worth, this was a CapmLew podcast. CapmLew podcast. There's no T.
Nope.
Look me over. I'm the captain. You think it's such a joke, but I don't see you laughing. All right. I'll see you guys.
Later.